Yo, Headliner Nation, what was a quiet Sunday is now a crazy Sunday as the trade we have all been waiting for is finally going down. Julio Jones headed out of Atlanta and going to the Tennessee Titans. Now, we've talked about what-if scenarios for the last few weeks, right? Kind of since this started to ramp up that Julio Jones has asked for a trade, and then there was the phone call on Undisputed where he said he was out of there. It's continued to basically look like Julio Jones was going to be headed out of Atlanta. And we kept saying all along, if there's one place that we think would be the best fit, it's Tennessee. And as of right now, that is where he is going to be headed to. Let's take a look at what the compensation looks like as of right now. This could change based on the breaking news from Rappaport. The Titans are going to be getting Julio Jones, and the Falcons are going to be getting at least a second-round pick. Now, that could change. All right, it could end up becoming a little bit more than just a second-round pick. There's a possibility it could also be something in the area of what we've seen with some other trades where if, you know, Julio plays a certain amount of games, that second becomes like a first and things of that nature. The Tennessee Titans are in win-now mode. They've kind of been there the last couple of years, haven't really been able to get over the bump. This year, the defense may be taking a little bit of a step back from what we've seen in years past, but they're headed in the right direction, and now they have an offense that can help compensate for some of those points that they're going to be giving up on defense. Losing Corey Davis, you know, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but having another weapon really was good for Ryan Tannehill there, and now he gets a weapon that's even 10 times better than Corey Davis. So it's going to be exciting to see what this offense is going to look like over the next 17 games, and what we're going to see in 2021. Again, the Titans getting Julio Jones, the Falcons getting at least a second-round pick. Now, it's not official yet. We have to wait and see on the physical. Julio Jones is still going to have to take a physical, and they're going to have to go from there. But as of right now, this is the deal. It could end up changing. This is a fluid situation, but Julio Jones is not headed anywhere else other than Tennessee as of right now. So what does this do? What does this do for the Tennessee Titans? What does it do for the Atlanta Falcons? What does it do for everybody, right? What's the fantasy football fallout of this? Well, we're going to have some values changing, all right? And if you see a red arrow pointing down next to a name, it doesn't necessarily mean we're not picking them. It just means their value could end up being a little bit less than what it was before the trade. For A.J. Brown, it is going to be less because this year was really banked on A.J. Brown and his volume coming his way. He had an exceptional year last year because he was the alpha wide receiver one on that team, but Corey Davis played well enough and finally broke out. You had Jonnu Smith, who's helping a little bit, and then, of course, Derrick Henry, right? All of those things combined, it really helped A.J. Brown in the efficiency area. But now you're adding in a weapon in Julio Jones that is much, much, much better than what Corey Davis is. Okay, so that volume that people were anticipating for A.J. Brown is going to come down. Now, that efficiency can still stay right where we have seen it in years past. Why is that? Well, because you're probably not going to be able to double team A.J. Brown too often. You're still going to have to make sure you keep enough guys in the box for Derrick Henry. So that efficiency that we've seen isn't going to go anywhere, but the volume you planned on could be coming down. So for me, A.J. Brown could potentially be dropping a few spots. For me, though, he's still going to be right in that low-end wide receiver one range. I can't move him out of that area, and hopefully nobody else is as well. It's just the volume that's going to be coming down. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill, he's going to get a bump up. Why? Because he's getting Julio Jones. If you get Julio Jones, you get a bump up. His value is going to go up. He's got an insane weapon to throw to now. I mean, this is the best offense that Ryan Tannehill's ever had. Derrick Henry, he's going to get a little bit of a bump up, which seems crazy. But, I mean, we talked about it kind of in that last video. I've seen a lot of you saying the same thing, that, hey, I'm taking him at 1.02 if he's there. I'm fine with it. CMC is number one. Henry's 1.02 for me. Honestly, for me, I'll take him at 1.02. If I want to be safe, I'm taking Derrick Henry first overall in my fantasy drafts this year. I don't care. I don't care if I'm losing out on some of that pass catching that CMC has. The absolute ceiling with Derrick Henry is still going to be there because there's not going to be any stacked boxes. People are not going to be able to commit to the run or the pass. Either way, they're not going to have their attention just focused in one area. Derrick Henry has the ability to just run all over opposing defenses this year. If you want the safest option possible, to me, it's Derrick Henry because he's going to have the best floor every single week. CMC still a little bit of a ceiling? Yeah, probably if you play in a half PPR or PPR league, 100% because he's still going to get some catches. But remember, he's got an added weapon there this year, okay? Last year, we didn't get to see a whole lot of him with Robbie Anderson, who was new last year. So that offense looks a little bit different in Carolina. So just keep that in mind as we're kind of moving through this, all right? Julio Jones, a little bit of a drop down for him as well now, but not too much. The only reason it's a little bit of a drop down because now it's a new system, a new quarterback. I mean, he's played with Matt Ryan his entire career, so that's been the good thing for Julio Jones. Him and Ryan have always been able to have that connection. Now he's going to go to Tannehill. Tannehill has that with A.J. Brown. I'm not bumping him down because of volume or output or because he had Calvin Ridley. So, I mean, the volume potential in Tennessee from a pass-catching standpoint is probably a little bit better because he's not dealing with Calvin Ridley. He's not dealing with Kyle Pitts and all of that. For Julio Jones, it's just a little bit of a drop back for me because now he's got a new system and a new quarterback he's going to have to learn. On the Falcon side, Calvin Ridley, the now #1 alpha wide receiver in that offense, he gets a bump up, kind of similar to what we talked about with A.J. Brown earlier in the offseason. Calvin Ridley is going to have a lot of that volume now, and we've seen him last year with no Julio Jones be that guy, all right? Calvin Ridley was a mid-wide receiver 1 last year in the games that he did not have Julio Jones. So for those of you out there that might want to use the argument that, oh, well, Julio Jones is gone now they can double team Calvin Ridley. No, you can't because you've added Kyle Pitts. You still have Russell Gage, who in limited action has shown that, you know, he can be a guy in fantasy football that can help out as like a wide receiver 3 or a flex option if you need him. So they're still going to have weapons there, all right? Calvin Ridley's not going to be able to be double teamed too often. Last season, without Julio Jones, he was still a wide receiver 1. So that argument does not work in your favor. Matt Ryan, hey, anybody who loses Julio Jones gets a little bit of a drop down, right? I can't say, oh yeah, Matt Ryan, we're going to move him up the rankings because now he doesn't have Julio Jones. That doesn't work that way. Kyle Pitts is going to get a bump up. Kyle Pitts now is right next to TJ Hockenson. So if you're looking at tight ends right now, Kyle Pitts is probably tight end 5 for me. You're going to have Travis Kelce. You're going to have George Kittle. All right. You're going to have your top 3 options there, right? Darren Waller there too. TJ Hockenson, Kyle Pitts. Those are going to be, so obviously you've got Waller, you've got Kelce, you've got Kittle there as that kind of top tier. And then that second tier is going to be Hockenson and Pitts. Pitts is going to end up going very high. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time draft season is done, if Pitts isn't kind of that tight end 3. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if people start drafting him over George Kittle and TJ Hockenson. For me, he's going to fall in at tight end 5. So he gets a nice little bump up as well. Russell Gage is going to get a bump up. He's now that wide receiver 2 in this offense. And Mike Davis is going to get a bump up because Mike Davis last year did help in the passing game for a little bit while he was in Carolina. Now he has the opportunity to have some potential targets open up for him so he can help in the passing game now in Atlanta. Prior to the Julio Jones trade, you probably weren't going to see Mike Davis helping out in the passing game too much. But hey, now we are. All right, now he has that opportunity to help in the passing game. So we've got a lot of things happening with this trade, right? You look at it, this is affecting a lot of people, but overall for the best. Like even the guys that are dropping down, like A.J. Brown and Julio Jones losing a little bit of value, it's not much. It's not like I'm saying don't go draft these guys. I'm not saying that at all. You're going to want to get Julio Jones and A.J. Brown shares this year 100%. Just where they were at before the trade, some of that, volume, some of those expectations, things like that, that just kind of changes the factor a little bit with what we see for the 2021 season. So ladies and gentlemen, in the comments down below, let me know your thoughts. I mean, we're going to be breaking this down more, okay? We're going to have, this is an instant reaction. We're going to have more videos. We're going to have to redo rankings here in a few weeks. So just keep an eye on all those and we'll talk more about those values at that time. But leave me a comment down below, all right? What do you think of the trade? Who's the biggest winner? Any of these guys like must drafts for you, must owns now, things like that? Let me know your thoughts on the trade. If you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, of course, hit that subscribe button, become a part of Headliner Nation today, and also hit the like button down below. We always appreciate that. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in to this breaking news video. I'm going to get out of here. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.